Today I'm going to share a card technique that is new to me, but it's been all over the internet. As I mentioned in my previous video, last weekend I attended a super fun event with Stampin' Up demonstrators. It was called the Atlantic Stampers Demonstrator Retreat in Toronto, Nova Scotia for demonstrators who live out here in the Maritime provinces. So shout out to all of you who attended that super great event, and thank you to the organizers. It was fabulous. And it was so great to see my friends and meet new friends and be inspired. And I was inspired by one of the make and takes that was demonstrated by my dear friend Kay Smith. Kay lives in Newfoundland, and this is where I first seen the fractured card technique. I've since learned it's also called the faux shutter technique. It is so easy, but I was wowed by it, and of course my mind has just been going all these different ways I can do this technique. So I'm going to film as I make this card and experiment with some of the ideas that I have on how we can use this fractured card technique. It may be new to a lot of you as it is for me. Maybe you've seen it, but it might give you some more ideas as well. So without further ado, let's start stamping. So I'm going to be making 4 cards, and I'm going to show you a variety of ways that you can make this fractured card, including the basic simple way to do it. And to start, I'm actually, let's see, we have some countryside and designer series paper. So, and I also have my 1 horse open slate paper. And this card base measures 8.5 by 5.5. This one measures 11 by 4.25, scored at 5.5. And this is Misty Moonlight, Night of Navy. And then I have Misty Moonlight Designer Series paper, and I have the 4 strips of that, and I have 4 strips of Night of Navy. And then both my Designer Series papers measure 4 by 5.25. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a basic, simple one. So we'll start with this first. The stamp set that I'm pulling in on today's cards is Best Family Ever. This is such a versatile, fabulous stamp set. If it's not already part of your collection, you may want to consider it. It has sentiments like "You're in my thoughts," "Happy birthday," "Congratulations," and then of course it has grandma, grandpa, sister, daughter, friend, baby, all the rest of it. So the possibilities of how you can use this set in your crafting and your card making and your scrapbooking is huge. In fact, the other day I sent a parcel. I sent some canning home to my dad, and on the label on the parcel I stamped "From your best ever daughter." I'm his only daughter, but I think he'll get a chuckle out of that because I know I did. I stamp everything. I stamp my envelopes, I stamp my parcels. So that's what made me pull this set out, was from stamping my dad's parcel the other day, and I thought, oh, I need to start using this set more often because it's pretty awesome. So I'm going to make this a birthday card. So I'm going to stamp "Happy Birthday Friend." So let me get another block here. So let me find, there's my happy birthday and friend. There we go. I'm going to stamp this using Night of Navy ink. So we'll stamp my happy birthday first, and this is going to go on the diagonal like so. Happy birthday, friend. Isn't that cute? I'm bringing in the handmade hugs because I want to stamp this sentiment right on top of this right here, but I don't want it full strength. I'm using boho blue, so I'm going to stamp off on my paper and then just stamp on, trying to line it up here. So see how that just adds a really pretty background. The next step is gluing this onto the front of my card. Now, you don't have to be exact. You don't have to get it right in the very center. You can put it more top, bottom, whatever you like. But I am going to put it right about here. And now we're just simply going to add on our strips of cardstock. So you could run this through embossing folders and have a texture on your strips. These can be 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch, whatever you like, whatever scrap pieces you have left. And all I'm doing is lining this with the edge of my die cut. This is using the Stitched Shapes dies. And again, you can make your square whatever size you want. Then I'm going to bring in another strip and a bit more glue. And I'm lining it up again with this edge here and along the square. So again, I know a lot of you have seen this all over the internet, but for some of you who maybe haven't, like me, this was new to me, I wanted to do a video and share it with you because I think this is just a fabulous card and a great way to use your strips of scrap paper. Okay, so this is what you're going to end up with, and then all you need to do is trim off those bits that are hanging off. Now, of course, you don't have to use Designer Series paper as your background. You can use regular cardstock. I'm going to put some glue on there and just simply put it onto my card base. So that is the very basic, simple way to do the fractured card technique. I'm going to show you 3 more ways that you can use this technique. And believe me, there's a lot more than 3. There are so many different ways you can use this fractured card design. All right, so we are moving on to our 11 by 14 Misty Moonlight, and I have just grabbed a piece of Designer Series paper from the One Horse Open Sleigh. I was going to use the trees, but that looks pretty, and I think I'm going to use that instead. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Designer Series paper and I'm going to position my square. This is the 3rd smallest. Okay, so I'm just going to put my square there. And then also from the Stitch Shapes, I'm going to bring in a circle die. And I'm putting that right in the center. Now I'm going to run this through. Okay, and I will have a square and a circle. Okay, so I'm going to put those aside and bring in some white. Now I'm bringing in the next size square, the next size up, and I'm going to cut that out of my basic white. So here's what I have. I have my Designer Series paper that's cut, the Designer Series paper that we cut with the circle and the smaller square, and then the bigger square. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue this on. Just like so. Now I'm pulling in my little snowflake die. This is from the Cheek Chic dies. And this little snowflake is going to fit inside this little circle perfectly. And I am going to cut it from the Designer Series paper that I cut out. So I'm going to line that up. You can save that for another project. And I'm going to pop that snowflake up on a mini dimensional. Okay, so let's glue some of this down. Now I'm going to put my strips on, and I'm just using Designer Series paper, and I'm going to have it go right past the edge of the card this time. So this is also Misty Moonlight Designer Series paper, so I'm just lining it up like so. going to use a piece of my adhesive sheet to apply this part to the center. Lining up that tree. I'm going to add a silver bow to this just to give it a little bit of bling. I'm going to put a silver pearl from the Festive Pearls right in the center of this snowflake. I'm using the Sparkling Snowflake stamp set, and I'm going to stamp Winter Greetings right on the bottom. So this doesn't have to be a Christmas card. It can be a birthday card. It can be just a thinking of you. It could be Christmas. And I'm going to stamp that with my Misty Moonlight. So another fun variation. So another fun way that you can do this technique is similar to the card that my friend Kay made. So here is Kay's card. I love it. And Kay used, I believe this is pebbled stone. And she embossed her panel with the distressed tile embossing folder and then used the designer series paper to put on it. So I have prepared the same thing, but the difference is I have just cut my basic white cardstock to measure 1 by 3/4, 1 by 3/4, whereas Kay used the die. And I'm using Gorgeous Grape. So those who are getting my kits in the mail, I have pulled colors from the Regals because I have used the 6x6 Regals Designer Series packs. Of course, I wanted everything to coordinate. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to use So Sincere, and I'm going to stamp Just Love Spending Time With You. Okay, so I'm pulling in my Gorgeous Grape ink pad and stamp on my sentiment. Aren't the fonts awesome? I love that look. The first few steps are just the basic steps, but I'm going to kick it up a little bit of a notch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these on, and because we have the word love in there, I'm going to use the heart design this time. So that looks pretty, just like that. But I'm going to do one more step, and I'm going to bring in my tear and tape for this. So I'm going to put a strip of tear and tape along each end, each side I should say, whoops. You want to get as close to that designer series paper as you can. And I'm just going to fold that end under. Okay. Okay. Now I want this to have a straight edge, so I'm just going to snip that and set her down. And then just position it again right alongside that designer series paper. Can you guys guess what I'm going to be doing? Pretty excited about this. So I'm just folding that little edge over. You can cut it if you prefer. Need to make sure that's straight. I can see I gotta put a little bit of glue under this bit right here. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to take my bone folder and just make sure that tape is really on there, especially since this cardstock is embossed, and so there's dips and raised bits. I'm just peeling off that backing now. And because I have a little bit of that tape behind here, I'm just going to go ahead and glue it onto my card base, because otherwise it's just going to stick to my placemat here. So if you guessed that I'm bringing in my gold leafing, my gilded leafing, you guessed correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of this on. I have really been enjoying using my gilded leafing. I kind of got away from it for a bit, just kind of forgetting about it, to be perfectly honest. And now I can't stop using it. I'm just loving it. So just rubbing it in really, really well. There's a beautiful way you can add the double strips. So of course you can use gold cardstock, you can use anything in place of the gilded leafing, but I just knew that gilded leafing was going to look so beautiful against the rich colors of the regals. And to finish that off, I'm bringing in a gold bow. Fourth and last card, I have a piece of real red cardstock cut at 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, and I have cut a piece of real red cardstock using the decorative circle punch. And from Old Olive cardstock, I have used the bow punch to punch these. Probably not going to be using this little piece, but it's there if I need it. So we have that. Some distressed gold cardstock, so pretty. This is cut 2 by 2. I have a scrap strip of basic white. And this designer series paper isn't available anymore. It's called the Black and White Designs, but I wanted to use it up. So of course you can substitute this or use it if you already have some of this at home. So I am going to go ahead and glue this gold right onto my designer series paper. The measurements are pretty much the same on these cards as far as this layer goes, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Of course I got diamonds upon diamonds here, but that's okay. Alright, I'm going to pull in some tear and tape again, but I'm going to show you a different way you can create the fractured card. This time we're going to use ribbon for the fractured portion, and look at, even this side of the ribbon would work amazing. So this is the real red with the dots. I am going to go ahead and lift this bit off. I don't know what I did with my take your pick tool, but anyways, we are going to do the same thing where we've got the straight edge and put this on. And I'm going to go ahead and trim that off. Isn't that cool? And you've got all the fun texture of the ribbon, that beautiful paper. Now I'm going to glue this to my card base. And the next part of this card has nothing to do with the fractured card design, but it's just a fun way to make a pretty embellishment for your project. So this is where I've got my circle punch, my decorative circle punch, and I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just breaking up the fibers by running this bone folder across the paper, just going in different directions, but of course I'm being gentle not to tear this. So just doing it like that, and this is an old technique. I'm going to show you how to make a rose. You can do this using circles, but I thought this would be perfect for making a rose. So all I'm going to do is start on the edge here, and you can make it as thin or as wide as you want, and you're just going to turn your paper and your scissors in a circular motion to make a spiral. We used to actually have a die years ago that cut something very similar out like this. Now again, being careful so I don't rip my paper, I'm going to take my bone folder and just kind of curve that a little bit. Now I'm bringing in the Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just using the stylus part just because I have two Take Your Pick tools and the other one has the pointy end. That one's missing in action right now. So I'm just putting this on the end because that is going to hold this corner in, okay? And actually, backstop. I want to add some color. I'm going to actually take some cherry cobbler just to add some shading to this. So I'm just going to put it on my blending pen, my blending brush I should say. You could use real red, but I'm going to use some cherry cobbler. I normally do this a little bit after I've created the flower, but today I'm going to do it before I do my twirling. And this part's optional. Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna have inky fingers. So now I'm just going to fold my paper over that glue dot and kind of, which is going to hold my paper down, and I'm just going to start twirling around and around. Just wrap it around until you get to this little bottom part, and so now I'm going to pull it off. And I'm going to put some adhesive right here in this corner. Get my silicone mat. I'm just going to twirl it around. I'm going to let that open up. And then, I don't want to open up too much, mind you. Missed it, and just smush it down. Grab some more water. Missed it, and I'm literally smushing it right down. Okay, just kind of squish it a little bit, separate those layers a little bit until you're happy with it. There's my beautiful rose. I'm going to set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to take my leaves that I punched and mixed with water and scrunch those up as well. And set that aside to dry while I stamp my sentiment. The sentiment is going to be "With Love" from the Handmade Hug stamp set. And I'm just stamping that with black. side. I'm ready for these, but they are not dry yet, so I'm going to sap them with the heat tool. I'm going to snip this so I have that little bit, and then I'm going to just trim this up so it looks like I have 2 leaves there. Bring some tear and tape in just because it's right here and it's handy. I'm just flagging the edge. I'm taking a strip of my dimensionals and a little bit of glue on one end, and I'm just going to position it right here, push down where that glue is, and then pop the rest up. You can add a gem to your rose, which I'm going to. And I'm going to use the iridescent pastel gems, and I can't decide if I want to do the red or kind of the clear. I'm going to do the red. So I'm just going to open this up a little bit. I'm going to take a great big one and just tuck it in. There you go, my friends. 4 cards today. For those of you who have already seen the fractured card technique and you've already been making them, hopefully you can take away some ideas that I shared today. And for those of you who, like me, have just discovered this card that's been around forever and a day, I think you're going to be inspired with this awesome card design. So many different ways that you can create using the fractured card or the faux shutter, as it's also called. Keeping it simple, using designer series paper, cardstocks, embossing folders, gilded leaf, ribbons. The possibilities are endless. So have fun with this. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, the little bell next to it as well, so you're notified when I upload a new video. And always, I appreciate you all so much. Take care and happy stamping.